You have reached the latest episode of The Ugly Truth. Today, Paula and I are recapping Mother's Day. How did hers go? Did her family remember? I had a very weird memory about Ina Garten. We talk a little bit about girl power. Also, we watch the UFC along with everybody else. We have our thoughts on that, plus some H-Ugly and Awkward Moments of the week, dick-pic edition. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie.
Shut the fuck up. You don't even know what you're saying.
Paula.
You're pushing me to a point where things are going to get really bad for you.
Uncensored as always, it's time for the Ugly Truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 465. Oh God, I'm so glad it's an kind of even-y number. Ugh.
What? You weren't okay? Hold on. Ugh. You weren't going to be able to handle it if it was a. No, wait, that is an even. No, that's an odd number.
It's a rounded number.
It's like a flat number. Okay, I got what you're saying.
Increments of 5 are appropriate.
Okay.
I'm sure it's because, everybody's anxieties or mental issues are coming to the surface quite a bit. I don't know about you, but certain things are starting to become I'm a little more aware of my OCD. So I'll be watching TV, and if it lands on like volume, 23, I'm like, unacceptable.
Everything has to land on an even number.
It has to be a 0 or a 5.
Oh, yours does? Oh, see, mine has to be
For
like
me.
16, 18, 20, 22.
Oh my God, we can never live together.
It's got to be on a 2.
I couldn't do it. I'd be like, this is driving me, it's hurting my skin. It has to be at a 10 or a 15.
The 15 to 20, I mean, that's a huge gap.
I know. All right. I had a very weird dream the other day.
Oh, really?
And I don't really, I'm sure it was because, and I'm kind of going backwards on this, why I had this dream, but there was a little bit of controversy in the culinary world. This girl who apparently is quite popular in New York. She has a new cookbook coming out. She's some waspy white girl. And she did an interview in, I think it was like the New York Times. And she basically bashed Chrissy Teigen and Maria Kondo for their brand, quote unquote, the way they brand themselves. She felt like they were basically sellouts, and that's not how she's going to do her, branding.
Why does she have to attack anybody?
Exactly. And so she was filleted online by a lot of people saying, she's like, look, I just, and she was being a total cunt about it. She's just like, be gentle. This is my first internet tongue lashing. And she's like, I didn't mean it like that and all this other shit. But she never talked crap about, Martha Stewart or any of these other, Christina Tosi, who happens to be Caucasian and brilliant. She was just targeting essentially women of color. And so interestingly, she didn't get away with it. It was brutal. And then I was like, okay, well, if a bunch of girls or a bunch of women start giving you crap for not being part of the sisterhood or not, raising up other women, like I was kind of pissed about it. I read the article. She was a total arrogant bitch about it. And I love Chrissy Teigen and I love Marie Kondo. I think they're great.
Well, here's the thing is if you're coming out with a cookbook, most of the times people don't do it to try and create a brand. I mean, people do it because it's a passion or a love. Like Chrissy Teigen, she loves to cook. She's not doing it because she needs the money. The girl is richer than rich.
Also she actually does have some culinary chops. She did attend cooking school. She didn't go for she didn't go for the full 2 years. She was there for a whole year, but she does know what she's, for the most, she knows better than me how to do certain things. And she's a brilliant chef at home with her cultural dishes. They look delicious. So my point is I was kind of pissed about it because, I would consider myself someone who loves interesting food. And, I would love to be able to travel and try different, types of foods and stuff. So interestingly, there is a really cool company called Cherry Bomb, and they highlight women in the culinary world, primarily pastry. Mackenzie is a big fan of it. I've purchased their cookbook. They have a magazine. They highlight women a lot in New York, but I mean, it's a really cool girl power type of thing. Yeah. And they came out and they said, we've had Chrissy Teigen, we've actually even had Marie Kondo, and we've had this girl, and I can't remember her name, on our cover, and we're absolutely disappointed beyond belief that she would do that. She would punch down like that, and we're really embarrassed for her. And then Ina Garten came out and said, "You go, girl," saying, fuck this girl. Who does she think she is? This is not how you operate in the world of women and culinary. You just don't. It's already hard enough being a woman and wanting to be a chef of any kind. And so I was like, you go, Ina. And she's never been shy. And I was kind of hoping Martha Stewart would say something, but she didn't. But that's okay.
It's not her really cup of tea.
She's not like that. Right. She's above it all, which I freaking love Martha Stewart.
Well, I mean, there are chefs that stay out of the controversy because it's just not, they're not into the drama.
Martha Stewart has been in prison. Her problems are far worse than some bitchy little girl in New York trying to talk shit.
Although she does do a show with Snoop Dogg. So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised she didn't tap into that, resource, but...
Have an edible and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, really.
I know. She's awesome. Anyway, so all of this leading to, I go to bed after reading that Ina Garten has chimed in, and I just absolutely love it. And I have a dream that I'm in Ina Garten's studio kitchen, and I'm just sitting on the side watching live, which is a privilege.
You're not on the patio having lunch with Jeffrey?
No. So I'm sitting on the side, and I can see the cameras in my peripheral. And Ina is there in her kitchen with, some woman guesting. Her hair's a little bit shorter and darker in her traditional bob. Yes. And she goes, this is the new season of her new shows for Food Network. And she's like, well, interestingly, while I was off and we were getting ready for the new season, I decided I am gay.
Oh.
And I was like, what? And I looked down at her hand and she's not wearing a wedding ring. And out loud, I go, well, what about Jeffrey?
That would be my first question. What happened to Jeffrey? Who's going to feed him?
Where is he?
He'll starve.
How's he going to get his Friday roast chicken now? I don't understand.
So are you the Birkenstock Contessa now? Like what?
I don't know. Yeah, it was so weird. And I was just so disappointed.
I just said that.
Colossally disappointed. And I was like, Ina, how can you abandon him like this? But then I thought about it.
And she's like, it's Ina. Thank you.
It was hilarious. So anyway, then I woke up and I was laughing. I'm like, why in the hell would I have a dream about Ina Garten being gay? It's so strange. But I mean, all I can think of is my brain when I finished reading the article and I saw her comment about how she was supporting, Chrissy Teigen and Marie Kondo and Cherry Bomb is that,
somehow
it's girl power.
You equate that to lesbianism.
I don't though, but it was so funny that I did that. And I was like, God, my brain is fucked up. Man, how or why does it do what it does? It just made me, but I chuckled. I thought I couldn't wait to tell you because I thought it was so funny.
Like, I get the whole girl power. And I've seen the argument where this thought never occurred to me. This is the stupidest example ever. But Haley Baldwin Bieber or whatever her name is. And Selena Gomez, they went back and forth a little bit. And then finally Selena Gomez is like, you know what? I'm not going to tear another woman down. The world is hard enough and I'm not going to do it.
Good
and
for her.
So Haley Baldwin's, she removed her Twitter remark because I think she's just like, she's right. This is ridiculous.
It's dumb. Right.
There's no reason for us to be, hating on each other when we have a hard enough time as it is.
It's true.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess I see it. But I think it's because I'm just so fucking independent. I'm of the mindset every man for themselves, bitches.
Self-preservation is definitely primary in our lives. That's why we are. But what I fail to remember is we don't realize how much is built into our lives. There are 4 of us, siblings, sisters. We're all incredibly different women. And we all, no matter what happens, we are there for them. No matter what the bad blood might have been, the last argument we had, or our visions of what our lives should be or not be. I mean, at the end of the day, we are there for each other. And that is literally the example that all women wish they could have, where they don't let things get petty. And I'm not a big fan of supporting women who are assholes, but I'm also not, I'm not a big fan of that.
So this whole story... I didn't think about the girl power thing. I just thought about it. I'm like, God, what a bitch. And what a stupid way to sell yourself. You either need to get a better PR company or you just need to get a PR company period, because obviously you're self-representing. Like, that's how I think.
Yes. It's like, who let that girl do that interview without someone sitting with her going, you know what? We don't really.
Or like pre-planning, or like, no, don't go out there and say this is my brand. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You know,
you idiot. No one's going to buy your book. I mean, that's the problem. But the thing is that I think because that first of all, we were in a home with a woman who was incredibly independent for a long period of time, did not have any desire to have a man take care of her. And we were raised in that environment for a period of time. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like I told you a few weeks ago, I really struggled adjusting to marriage because I didn't like the idea of a man helping me with anything. I felt it was demeaning and I was disrespected. And that isn't true at all. You know, that's not true at all. It's just, that's how we were raised. And there are times when Daryl specifically wants to take over every project I begin, and I get so mad.
Well, that would piss me off. I'd be like, why do you have to take over everything I do? What do I look disabled? I mean,
oh my God,
are my arms broken? Like, get the fuck out of here. You know?
Some of our biggest fights were because he was trying to help. And I'm just
I remember I came over, Jamie.
You?
You were in your room and you were like sobbing and shaking. And I'm like, what is the matter?
The chalkboard.
I think you had me leave after a few minutes because you're just like, I just need to be alone. And then I came down and Daryl was like pale and he's like, is she okay? I'm just like, I don't know. Like, it was bad. It was bad.
I don't like anyone taking over for me. But when it starts to feel like, oh, you helpless little creature, you're so precious. I don't want you to do anything to hurt yourself. It's like, who the fuck do you think I am? Did you forget?
Yeah,
did you forget? Well, let me remind you.
Like, see, I've learned with myself to institute a warning system. Like, you know, warning, Will Robinson. Like, I'll just say, I'm like, you're pushing me to a point where things are going to get really bad for you. So I'm just warning you
completely
that I'm trying to end this conversation so that doesn't happen. And and I'm like, last warning. And I will even use those words. I'm like,
and they'll even do that. I've told her, I'm like, tread lightly.
They'll keep pushing me and I'll say, I'm like, I warned you.
I told you. Yes. Speaking of men trying to look out for us and we hate it, I don't know what made me think of this. I was listening to a podcast. It had nothing to do with anything. They were talking about traffic lights. And all of a sudden in my brain, I thought of the memory of the time that the four of us, me, you, Stephanie, and Allison, decided to hijack Mom's Honda when she went to bed. It was like 11:30 at night because there was no milk. And we decided to go and get milk and Oreos at 11:30 at night. You must have been 10, maybe. And we got in the car. And we decided to go to Albertsons to buy those things. And
God, I don't even remember this. We must have gotten in big trouble then because I usually block out bad memories.
I'll tell you what happened. So I must have been like 17. So you were probably 9. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there on Greenback Lane, getting ready to turn into the Albertsons parking lot. And there was not one soul on the road. I mean, nothing. And we were sitting at a turn lane with a red light and it was taking forever. And I'm like, why is this even a thing?
Oh, no.
So I ran it and went and I just took off and I went into the parking lot and I parked in the front row because there was only workers there. It was I believe it was a 24-hour store at the time.
Well, it would have had to have been because most stores are closed by 11.
Pull in. We're getting ready to get out of the car. And out of nowhere, a sheriff pulls up behind us. And he had the lights on and everything. It was 2 guys, 2 men. Like, and we were like, and I remember vividly saying, Paula, stay in the car. So I start to get out. Now, here's the thing. And nowadays, you don't do this at all. You stay in the car.
You
and
just freeze.
You don't do a thing. Well,
keep
back
your hands on the steering wheel and don't move.
Yes. So back then, we didn't know any better because we were just kids. And so Stephanie and I get out of the car and, Allison's like, I don't know. So.
Stay in the car with Paula.
So the sunroof was open because our mom's Honda Accord had a sunroof.
It did? So, oh my God. You know what? I think it broke eventually, and that's why I don't remember it because I don't think it could open. Actually, I think it could open. I don't think it could shut.
Oh,
and so that's why we had to keep it closed because then it would leak. So
that's correct. So we get out of the car and he's like, you ran a red light back there. And I said, yeah, you know what? And here's the thing. I had been pulled over so many times before I was a full-grown adult that I had all these reasons why I broke the law. And so I said, yeah, there was nobody around. He goes, well, I was around and I saw you do it. And I said, I know, but I felt really vulnerable sitting there in the middle of the road with nobody around. So I just went because I thought anybody could come out. And so he's like, right. He goes, what are you guys doing out? You are children. And we're like, we're getting milk for our mom. And then you stuck your head out. Please, officer, don't arrest my sister. And I was like, oh my God. And so I was like, and so I want to say that Allison or some idiot, one of them, went in and said, I'm going to go get the milk and just like left.
While you guys are doing this, I'm going to get the Oreos. Do we want double stuffed or just regular?
So it's like, can we get chocolate milk? And so anyway, you're like, please don't arrest my sister. And so he, of course, now looking back now, I can see it a little bit differently. He probably initially thought that we were like joyriding, or maybe he probably couldn't see who was in the car. So it's like, no, there's nothing good comes from bad behavior in the middle of the night.
But then to see four sisters out,
four young ladies,
cookies, it's just like, oh, right. Wow, big rule breakers.
He's like, all right, here's the thing. I'm following you home to make sure that you don't break any more laws. And I'm like, okay. So we go inside and we get everything, and they're still there, and they followed us home. Now, knowing now, they probably followed us home to make sure that nobody messed with us. Or
I was going to say, probably make sure we got home okay.
Safely, exactly. So when he didn't even ask for my license or anything. He just said, I'm following you home to make sure that you don't cause any trouble. We're like, yes, sir. So we go inside and we're like, oh my God. And now here's the thing. We are fearless. We were laughing about it.
Did we wave
just
like, bye?
Yeah, we were just like, oh my God, the sheriff. And of course, Stephanie, with all of her wise knowledge, she's like, it's a sheriff. He's not going to do anything to you. If it was highway patrol, I'd be worried. And I'm like, how do you know? She's like, I know. And I'm like, God.
She doesn't know because we lived in an incorporated county, dumbass. And that's who they do issue citations.
I have been given a ticket by a sheriff. Absolutely. So anyway, so they followed us all the way home, and I didn't think they would. I thought they were just trying to scare us, but no, they really did. But they were following us home.
Probably was a father who had young children at home, and he's just like, being a dad, like, who are their parents? Who lets these young, adorable girls go out?
These cute little girls out all by themselves,
probably in our sweats or something like that,
woefully unsupervised.
And obviously our mom's car.
She was sleeping.
You know what? Mom always claims to have that one ear open to make sure we got home. And I'm like,
she's deaf.
I'm like, no, she didn't. She didn't. How many times did we take off in her car? And she had no fucking clue.
Never knew. And and the thing is that she needed hearing aids at the age of 32. And she wouldn't get them. So I know she couldn't hear us.
But she always claims, she's just like, I always knew when you guys were coming home. And I'm like, Mom, I'm like, you never even heard us when we left.
Yeah, no kidding.
With your car.
No kidding. So anyway, I don't think our mom even knows about it.
Probably not.
I don't think she knows about it.
Well, she obviously didn't remember the time when Stephanie, Allison, and Ginger stole the car and went to 7-Eleven. And when Stephanie was like 15, I think.
Probably.
And then Stephanie knew that everyone might hear the engine. So she turned the car off and coasted down Ruthwood. And she knew she was going to have to start the engine, though, because she was going to have to turn because of the power steering.
Yes.
She was going to have to turn right. So she's like, shoot, I thought I was going to be able to coast in the driveway. But the problem is that she saw Bill and Joyce at the bottom of the hill.
No.
Because I think they had heard the car or saw them climbing out the bathroom window or something like that. I don't know what happened. Because they actually, knew what was going on with their children. And
that is so funny.
So they just went to 7-Eleven, I think, to get like candy or something like that.
Sure.
And so I think they woke Mom up to say, like, the kids just stole your car.
Do you remember the time that Stephanie stole Dad's pickup and went to 7-Eleven and then wrecked it?
No.
Okay, so Dad had that little blue pickup truck that I actually ended up driving in high school.
God, did she have a death wish? What was wrong with her?
Was she on drugs
by then?
No, she gave zero fucks. She was 12. And dad had this piece of crap blue little Chevy truck. Maybe it was a Toyota. I don't know. It was Chevy. And she drove it. She picked up her friends, drove it to the 7-Eleven by her mom's house, and it needed gas. And back in the day, that 7-Eleven had a gas pump.
Yeah, it did.
She pulled in to get close to get gas so they could go joyriding. Well, there were
those big poles, the yellow poles.
Huge yellow cement poles, like they were 4 feet tall, that would guard the pump because it was
you don't crash into it. Yeah,
exactly, which she would have done. And so there was this huge like U-shaped dent in the passenger side, and she was hoping that dad wouldn't see it, so she parked it. And she even put like bottle caps and stuff so she knew exactly how to park it when she brought it back, so that he would never know that it was gone.
Oh, but didn't he touch the lid?
He absolutely knew that she had taken it, because our dad was a criminal from a very young age.
You can't bullshit a bullshitter.
No, not at all. His forte for years was stealing cars. That's why he actually got kicked out of the military.
That's why they wouldn't take him to the draft.
Yeah, so he got drafted twice, and they're like, "Oh, you're a felon. Get out of here."
Yeah, they're just anyway, like, you've done too much. We can't trust you.
We don't trust you.
We can't trust you with our expensive equipment.
He's like, okay. So anyway,
sure.
That's the only reason our dad is alive today, by the way. That's the only reason.
Oh, please. He would have found a way to escape and,
Oh, man, are you kidding? He would have survived Vietnam with 5 tours. They would have kept sending him back, and he would have come back a hero every time.
He'd probably be like filthy rich somewhere in, the Philippines or something.
Oh, for real.
With like 7 wives. Go ahead.
With a harem.
That he would still feel the need to cheat on, by the way.
Of course. There's just too many women out there for him. So she pulled in, and she's like, okay, maybe my dad won't see it. And they tried to like rub it out and stuff like that. And he was so impressed that she did not get in trouble. He was so impressed with her wily ways. He's like, wow, you're a chip off the old block. You know what? I'm so impressed. I'm not going to even get you in trouble. It was insane.
He didn't notice the dent?
He did. He knew it immediately. He knew when she left. He heard it. He knew. He's just like, well, let's just see what happens. Home? Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So... Anyway, well, that's what you
Dad
do for you.
Funny. Is
I know.
Like he'll approve, like,
bad behavior,
but
I know. Okay. Speaking of family, the Mother's Day situation.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, you were sure that nobody remembered Mother's Day.
I was.
And so you said that your last point was that if no one remembered, you're like, I'm going to go out, have a cigarette and a cup of coffee and let you think about what you've done. Mm-hmm. And that was going to be the end of it. So I got exactly what I wanted for Mother's Day. I got a carrot cake and a quiche because that's the dishes that I wanted. I got some flowers, which I always appreciate. Mm-hmm. I got the awkward Happy Mother's Day from my son. And I got a card from my 2 children, the 2 daughters, and a bunch of text messages, and it was very sweet. And that was it. Daryl wanted to do all this more, and I'm like, I don't need to be celebrated. It's all good. I got exactly what I wanted. Everybody appreciates me always anyway, so it's fine. I don't need the day. Yeah. So it was great. But I did not reach out to you on purpose because I wanted to see if you said or did anything on social media or if you texted me or something. So I just waited, and then you did come out of your cave and you posted a photo of a flower of an orchid. And so please tell me how your Mother's Day went.
Okay, so Saturday night was huge fight night for UFC. And so we bought the fights and they went kind of late, I guess. And so we were up talking, laughing and, doing stuff. And then Victor was getting ready to go to bed. Olivia's like, Dad, wait, I just wanted to tell you. And it was like 11:45. And he's like, Olivia, I think you're just getting me to stay up until Mother's Day. And I just kind of looked at him.
So he didn't know.
I just looked at him. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, what? And I'm like, you knew tomorrow was Mother's Day? He's like, of course we knew. And I'm just like, you guys haven't said a word about it. I'm like, I seriously thought you had no clue tomorrow was Mother's Day. He's like, Paula, we've been planning stuff for like a while now. And I'm just like, why didn't you say anything? He's like, well, it's kind of a surprise. And so I'm just like, and I looked at Olivia and she's like, yeah, Mom. She's like, we've been talking about this for a long time. And so I was just like, I almost started crying because I was just like, I thought you guys forgot.
That's so sweet.
He's like, sleep in however long you want. And then he's like, when you get up, he's like, we'll have your coffee. We'll start making breakfast and then we'll do presents. And
that's so sweet.
From Ryan, I got 2, they're called bath blankets. There's these like the massive bath towels that like wrap around your entire body.
Oh, so when you're showering with Olivia,
I
modesty.
I told Olivia, I said, you are forbidden from using these. I said, so if I find them on your bed or on the floor, I said, you're going to be in big trouble. And then I got from Olivia, I don't know what these are. They're like a mixture of like cotton and silk sheet, not silk. Well, maybe a silk blend sheets. They're so soft.
Oh, that's nice.
Because I did need new sheets. And so, like, if I put my cell phone up, it kind of slides down. But they're not satin. Okay. I don't like satin.
Okay, so maybe they're like a matte satin. They have those.
Yeah, I don't know what they are, but they're really soft. So I love those.
Good.
And then they bought me the Dexter orchid, because this is the orchid that Hannah got Dexter.
That's why you named it Dexter.
That's why I named it Dexter.
Very
And so they said they had to look pretty hard for it because it was hard to find the white one with the pink in the middle. So
that's awesome.
I know. I thought that was great.
What a relief.
So it was a really good day.
I love it. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Paula. Honestly, I was really hoping that it wasn't going to be the nightmare that you expected it to be.
Actually, the best part of the day is when I was taking a nap, when I woke up.
Yeah.
Victor and Olivia came in the living room. They're like, you ready for one more Mother's Day present? I'm like, okay. They're like, come with us. So they took me into my bedroom.
Yeah.
They had cleaned the entire bedroom.
Olivia cleaned her room.
Victor and Olivia cleaned the entire. There is not a clo on the floor.
Paula, I would have started weeping with joy.
I walked into the room and I like walked back. I felt like I was on that show, Extreme Home Makeover. Like they had just moved the bus, and I was just like, oh my god, you know,
oh my god, we're so blessed.
You know, and I was like, my hands were shaking by my face, and I was crying. I was like,
thank you, everyone.
Oh my god!
That's
on behalf
hilarious.
of KB Homes, we'd like to present this clean bedroom to you.
Dude, this could very well be one for the books.
That's what I told Victor. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, this, like, I think he finally gets it.
Took 14 years, but he got it. Okay, so Mother's Day, definitely way better than we all expected. We all got what we wanted. So let's talk about the UFC, where I definitely didn't get what I wanted. I thought that the fight card was stacked from early prelims till the final bout. I very much enjoyed the pay-per-view. There was only one or two fights that I didn't enjoy. I mean, they were kind of boring, but it was also based on some injuries that were occurring that we weren't privy to until the end. But other than that, I was really impressed with all of the fights. Super pissed. I mean, just to jump ahead really quick, Donald Cerrone did not lose that fight.
I was just waiting for them to raise his hand. And when they said Anthony Pettis, I was like, what the fuck? I said it out loud. And I literally, in my mind, said, like, they had to have like mistakenly written down the wrong name. Like there's no way. Because I said in no way, shape, or form did he win any of those rounds.
It was outrageous.
Cerrone was on point on every fucking round.
He looked more well-rounded and more highly trained than he ever had. And what was interesting was Pettis agreed. He was shocked. He's like, no. I did not win this fight. It was shocking. And everyone agreed that it was an absolute legit robbing of Cerrone.
In fact, Ryan and I went to the UFC page and we actually looked at like the exchanges. They were basically flat on everything with the exception of actual strikes.
Yeah.
Pettis had like maybe 20 more strikes, but they weren't significant strikes. They were just strikes.
Right.
Cerrone had 2 takedowns, which is big.
He did.
Even so, I'm just like, I just didn't see it. But, you know,
I didn't either.
Sometimes fights look better than maybe
the technical part.
Yeah, maybe, you know, scoring wise than they really are. I don't know.
What I really resented about it too was everybody seemed pretty surprised. The commentators were pretty surprised by that result. Afterwards, you know, there's always those online schmoes, and this one person was like, well, you know, we're starting to see the age on Cerrone. I don't know if he should fight anymore.
I saw
but,
that,
you know,
and I'm like, fuck you.
I did too. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You don't even know what you're saying. I hate you.
Know what? Well, I did like that they were showing all the tweets during the fight.
I loved it. How did you feel?
Really cool.
How did you feel about the no crowd? I liked it.
Yeah, a lot of people are, oh, it just wasn't the same. I'm like, to be perfectly honest, like in the beginning, yeah, it was kind of weird. But I said after a while, I'm like, I hardly noticed. Because I mean, once I'm like into the fights, I don't pay attention to the crowd or, you know, who's watching. I did notice I could hear a lot more.
I love that you could hear the breathing. I love that you could hear the coaches and what they're yelling at them.
Like I could hear the impacts and things like that. So I'm just like, that's a little, that was kind of disturbing, you know.
Like you don't really, because, you know, you, especially those leg kicks. Oh my God.
I was just thinking the strikes to the head and like the jostling sound. I was just like, God. I'm like, you can literally hear the brain rattle in there. So
you really get an idea of how violent.
Like the Gaethje and Ferguson fights when they kept hitting each other in the head. I'm like, God damn. I'm just like,
oh my God. My favorite new up and comer is Bryce Mitchell. I'm so excited to see what this boy does. He's 25.
He actually was on Ultimate Fighter. I think it was called the Redemption series. He didn't win, but his jiu-jitsu is like off the hook. Yeah.
They thought when he went into that bout, they thought he was going to be just annihilated by this jiu-jitsu black belt, and he dominated the entire fight. And I said, he's 25, he's young, he's very hungry, and this boy is going to get his camo Reebok fighter shorts, and if they're not dumb, they will make him the face of the UFC if he's legit, which I think he is.
His next fight will be on the main card. I'm almost positive.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see what he has to do. And I just love that all these little kids, well, they're not little kids, but all these people who are in their early 20s and now they're starting, you know, they're coming into their own. The only other one I wanted to mention, well, first of all, Francis Ngannou, who is ridiculous.
He's a monster. Yeah.
So I was looking at that. I was looking at the rankings. He's second. I'm like, why is he only second? Because DC and Stipe are champ and number one.
They're going to do a trilogy.
Well, now I was reading today before we recorded just to see, there is rumor that Stipe is retiring because his eye injury from his last fight was too severe and he's still not good. And they're thinking he's going to go ahead and just retire. If that happens,
it would be Ngannou and Cormier.
Yes, he said, I'm not afraid of him. I'll fight him. He's like, everybody deserves a shot. You know, I deserve a shot at the belt, because he said he's got one more fight in him. If it's Ngannou, that's fine. He's not afraid. I'm like, I would be terrified. But I've seen him fight bigger people who were supposed to be terrifying, and he beats them. So yeah, DC's pretty badass. I don't know. He's underrated. Everybody underestimates his ability, his strength. He just dominates. So we'll see.
Well, and he's just got this chin, like freaking Ferguson. My God, how many times did that guy get punched in the face?
Like, he is unreal. I mean, I'm glad he didn't win, but he was just unreal.
The way Herb stopped it was just like, he was just kind of shaking his head like, no, I can't do it. But he was still standing. like his training is so embedded in him that he's just like, he will not give up. But literally, like, his brain was telling him, like, you must stop. You're going to die.
You're going to kill yourself.
His head was like involuntarily shaking, like, please stop, like, don't do it anymore. But he was just standing there with his gloves up and he's like wobbling, like, I'm gonna do this. And Herb's just like, no, dude, you're done.
They're trained to never say no. And
but I mean, Ferguson's he's nuts, you know. That's what I mean, he's crazy. And so that's why Herb's just like, no, he's like, one more punch, you're gonna like die, like
you'll go into a coma, man.
The freaking Adonis of, you know, Rocky. It's not gonna happen on my watch. Your pregnant mistress is not gonna have an orphaned son. So
yeah. The only other thing is this Justin Gaethje. I am looking forward to that fight. I am looking forward to the Khabib-Justin fight. I think it's going to be a barn burner, and I can't wait.
Now they keep talking about putting freaking Conor on Gaethje, and I'm just like, would you let the Conor dream die? He's not that good anymore.
They can't do that. First of all, Conor would get pummeled. There's no way he can compete with that.
Well,
but
the thing is the people
I don't want to see that.
The people he was fighting that. I'm not saying Conor wasn't good.
Yeah, I want to see Khabib with Justin. I want to see that fight. And the only other thing left is I want to see Fight Island. I don't know where this is taking place, and I don't know. I've heard Masvidal is going to be on the card, and there's talk about a Diaz-Masvidal or Masvidal-McGregor. I don't care. I just want to see the Fight Island. I mean, I'm so excited about it. It's very Bruce Lee. That's why. I'm so stoked about it. I really hope that happens.
I'm just glad they haven't put Masvidal anywhere because, I mean, hopefully they let that freaking ego die down or it's burnt itself out because I'm just like, well, here we are going on month 6 or no, month 8 because they fought in like October or November. Yeah. And it's just like he hasn't seen a octagon in, 8 months now. I'm just like, well, let's see if your little, three fights of fame burnt out finally. One of them doctor stoppage. The other one was, the flying knee. And then one of them was the actual TKO. So.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting to see because I think this next fight, if it goes the way it's supposed to, we'll get to see how legit he is. I think he's legit. I just don't know. It depends on who he fights. But I'm looking forward to a Fight Island. And I don't know when that's supposed to happen. I will say on the final note for me, I am not one of these people who thinks that society should remain shut down. I think that we need to put protocols in place so that we can start having some sense of normalcy. I really, really liked how Dana White handled the safety protocols with this. The bare bones crew and everybody being tested. Nobody could bring family. I think I saw no more than 2 in the corner of any fighter. I thought it was great, and I didn't miss the crowd at all. I also saw, if I'm not mistaken, DC and Rogan were on opposite sides of the octagon.
Yeah, actually, all 3 of them, they were all on 3 different sides of the octagon. And
which I think is kind of cool.
Actually, it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think hopefully what I saw yesterday is that baseball is finding a way. Baseball should be easy because they're not touching anything. Nobody touches anything. I mean, you could literally make that happen, especially if you're doing temps and tests and you're testing every 3 days or every 2 weeks or whatever. You could easily have a season. And they're talking about July. Daryl has been predicting this for months. That he said, oh yeah, they're going to figure this shit out. After the All-Star break, they'll come back and have a season. It might be a little shortened, but it's going to happen. I'm like, all right. And then yesterday, he's like, see, what did I tell you? And I'm like, I wasn't denying it.
You're like, why are you telling me that? I didn't argue.
Because men just love to,
rub things in to nobody. Yeah. And you're just like, all right, great job. Well, see, now with the UFC thing, only time will tell. 2 weeks from this last week, we'll know how successful it was. If nobody comes up with Corona, then it worked.
Their protocols worked. And then we'll move forward.
They have a fight Wednesday or this. Well, by the time everyone hears this,
I thought it was Thursday, Saturday, but I don't know.
Oh, I thought he said Wednesday, Saturday, but either way. So they'll have a fight this week and then on Saturday. So, I mean, I'm surprised they had a middle week fight, but they're kind of moving fast without the knowledge of what's going on. But, I guess they'll just have to see what happens.
Well, I think the reason that they're packing it all in is, first of all, I was listening to Rogan yesterday. It was the pre-MMA fight podcast, and he was saying that they've packed this whole weekend because once you've got the approval, if you've got fighters who are negative and they want to fight, you just got to get it in. You got to pack it all in. It's kind of like, jamming it all in at once because we've got everything cleared. So let's just get as much as we can in this week to get people paid and to have some entertainment. I swear, when all the numbers are done, I will not be surprised if this was the highest paying pay-per-view in history because everybody watched it because it was the only thing to watch.
Well, and plus it was a really good card.
And it was amazing.
I can't believe 3 of the fights that were on the prelims card were not on the main card. Fucking
they were
Greg
so good.
Hardy, that guy. Why the fuck do people like to watch that stupid ass? I hate him.
I don't know. It was awful.
He won too, and I'm like, you piece of shit. I hate you.
I know. It's so true. It was such a welcome relief to watch the UFC again. It was so great. All right, so let's do some H-Ugly and Awkward Moments of the week. Staying with dudes, we're doing dick-pic edition.
Oh.
And I know you would enjoy these embarrassing, awkward moments for dick pics. Here's the first one. This one made me laugh, actually, because I can visualize it really well. Okay. I accidentally showed my dad a dick pic I sent to my girlfriend, now wife. I do model trains, and I forgot 2 days prior that I took it. And after he saw it, he handed me my phone back. It was very awkward for a few days because I realized what he saw. What made it bad is I was rock hard. My leg was propped up on the bathroom sink like Captain Morgan.
God.
I think what he was trying to say is that he was showing his dad pictures of his model trains, and he didn't realize that he hadn't deleted the dick pic he had sent to his wife. And so it was in amongst the train photos, and his dad just handed him his phone back.
Well, why? But why would a girl want to see a dick pic with a guy standing like the Captain Morgan? I mean, unless it was a joke or something.
Nobody wants to see it.
Like, I've seen, okay, like if you're like in the middle of like sexting or something and they're just like, you know, oh,
look
you're
what you've done to me.
You're making me so hard or blah, blah, blah. And then they're just like, you know, oh, really? And then they send you like the picture and you're just like, wow, you know. But I mean, if it's just randomly during the day, like, hey, what's going on? And then they send you like a picture of their wiener, you're like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I'm not going to just send you randomly like, hey, how's your day? And then send you a picture of my vagina. You know, it's just
right.
Not gonna, although I'm sure they wouldn't complain, but I'm just saying it would be, it's awkward. You know, it's just like,
is awkward.
How'd your doctor appointment go? Here's my pussy. You know? Oh, can you pick up some milk on the way home? Here's my hole.
That's funny.
Here's my asshole.
That's true. God, it's so true. Okay, here's the second one. This one's quick. I don't know if that's bad, but seeing one's dad's dick pic is worse.
Oh!
I once had to take pictures of some details using my dad's phone as mine ran out of battery. I browsed through the photos and swiped one too many times, and there it was, my dad's most recent dick pic. I am mortified to this day.
Oh my God.
I can't even.
Wow.
I can't even.
You do. Oh God. Okay. Sorry.
What?
I was looking at something else.
No, that's it.
No, there's this picture on US Weekly of Lena Dunham trying to kiss Brad Pitt. And Leonardo DiCaprio is like looking down at her. And just the look on his face is just like, he's like, I
have seen that photo. Because she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Or what is she doing?
I don't know what she's doing, but she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was one of the hippies. And that's why she was even there on the red carpet with them. And so she thought she would take a chance and kiss one of the most handsome men in the world. And the other most handsome man in the world was like, oh, hell no.
Well, her dress is made of like a feather boa or something.
I can't with her. Hold on, with her.
Let me see if I can find the picture. Okay, go ahead and start reading the next one.
No, that's it. There was only two.
Oh, okay. God. Yeah. I've seen like the parents' texts where like they accidentally text the wrong person. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, Dad, this is me, or like the mom will be like, hey, you big hunk of love, or something like that. And they're just like, Mom, this is Matthew. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, what would you do?
Well, you know, our children, they recoil when we're affectionate in any way whatsoever. You know, it's like if Daryl grabs me by the waist and kisses me in the kitchen, they're like, oh my God. Ew. And I'm like, hey, it could be better. We could be throwing fisticuffs. We could hate each other. You would love that better? They're like, just your parents. And I'm like, yeah.
I'm like, how do you think you got here? Dumbasses.
Yeah, exactly. How do you think you got here? I'm sure that discussion. You know what? It's going to get gross when we're wrinkly and old. So just be prepared. Right now, we look great. Okay, we're at the prime of our life. Enjoy it, because when we're old and wrinkly and Dad's being a pervert, that's when you're going to be like, all right, that's enough.
You should just do what Ryan and I do. We're like, how do you think you got here? I'm like, it was either a Monday or a Friday night, the week of Valentine's Day. And I'm just
that's
like,
right,
it was
twice a week.
I'm like, it was either the front of the fireplace or in our room. You can't, it was one of those times. And Brian's like, oh God. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure someone said that. And then
it's so true.
But I like the pivotal moment is when I said, wait, no. And well, there you are.
9 months later, here you are, my son.
Here you are, our beautiful miracle child.
Our beautiful child of love.
He's like, I was a mistake. I'm like, you were a happy accident.
You were a surprise.
That's what I say. I'm like, you were a surprise. He's like, you didn't mean to have me. And I'm just like, you just surprised us was all.
Surprises are not accidental.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, a surprise is something that, you're just surprised by having. He says, you didn't mean to have me though. And I'm I'm like, well, what difference does it make? I'm like, you're here now.
Oh God! So, you know what? Is he starting to go through the phase that a lot of kids go through? They're like, "Well, I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask for you to have me."
No, he's definitely say that. But
I went. Oh my God! I went through that with two of them. 2 of them are like, well, no one asked me to be born. I'm like, oh, well, I wish I could put you back, but I think that would be really uncomfortable for all of us. So, you know.
Really. I don't think you'd fit, although Malia's about the same size, so.
She's such a nugget. It's so true. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all I have.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. I just got a brand new pair of flip-flops for $13. They're pretty sturdy on Amazon. Kind of weird, though, because I was reading the reviews. I normally wear a 7.5. They only came in like 7 or 8. So I got the 8s because they said run kind of small. And then when I got the package said size 6. The shoes said size 9. And so I was like, okay. The order slip said size 8. And then at the boat, there was a handwritten note that said, we sent you the size 9s because these run really, really small. So I was like, okay.
All right.
So I put them on. I just don't know. I'm like, I wonder if I could have gone up a size. I'm
Are you kidding me? Are they like kid sizes?
I don't know. So I don't know. But anyways, they're cute. I like them. I'm going to wear them. So.
Well, that's good.
But cute stuff. Other than that, everybody, please go to lipandclip.com. Get yourself some makeup. Have a fabulous rest of your week. And we will see you on Sunday.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.